Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back welcoming you to the Friday night chop session with Stormy B Man for this Friday, November 13th, Friday the 13th, 2020, as we are calling this one episode number 86, Man Up or Man Down. So, as we get ready to get into it this evening, another week of boxing is upon us. Another weekend of boxing is upon us. And we're going to talk a little bit about it, as well as what's going on in the sport of boxing around the globe. So welcoming everybody. I hope everybody's had a wonderful week. Glad it is now the end of the week, because I'm telling you, I hate working now. Don't like it no more. Stormy is ready to throw the towel in. You know what I'm saying? So we are here this evening to talk a little bit about boxing. Let's see who we got out there. We got a few people rolling in. I had someone ask me, they said, man, sometimes, I be wanting to check you out, Stormy, but your intro is kind of long or whatever. But see, the thing about that is, people don't always get the alerts right away and things like that. So if you give it a couple of minutes after you kick your stream off, you give people a chance to, rally, round the troops up, so to speak. So that's what that's all about. I mean, I still give you some nice beats to listen to. It ain't like I got you somebody out there, I forget who it was, say it's elevator music. Ain't no doggone elevator music. Stormy B Man know a beat. I've been able to catch a beat since I was a little boy. They told me when I was a little boy, still running around in my diaper, if a beat came on a phonographic player, that's what it used to be called. Y'all got CDs and, stuff in the cloud now, but we didn't have that back then. We had the phono box, okay? And you put a record on there. They called it wax. You understand? That's right, I'm ancient like that, antique. But anyway, put that beat on and Stormy would get the moving and bopping. Yeah, I invented that. But yeah, that's what that's all about. Salute to everybody that's out there. Who we got? We got Young World out there. OG Eric in St. Louis. He's in there first. He said he was working, but he wanted to stop by and show some love. And we got Phil J508 out there. Tay Brown, the sister's out there. She's talking about the greatest of all time, Ali. That's right. He was the greatest. You know what? Watching Ali shadow box is almost better than watching a lot of fighters fight. Huh? Man, he was just poetry in motion. We got Nitty G out there in the super chat. He says, salute, hashtag LDBC Chicago. Thank you, Nitty G, for that, brother. Appreciate that. That donation there. Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens out there, my buddy. He's saying, smash that like button. That's right. Money Brown TV is also out there in the super chat. He says, salute OG, continue grinding and kicking that game. Yes, sir, man. With the help of you all, Stormy B, man, gonna be just fine, man. Because I do it with the support and assistance of you all. And I really appreciate you all for supporting myself and the channel. So, that's it's a community thing. There's no ego here. What else we got? We got another one out there. Oh, okay, that was Reggie. I went ahead of myself. But hey, that was a great segue there, Money Brown, because I wanted to open the show up with providing a bit of a dedication, to the community. Those who have really got behind me, has shown and given support and love for what I do, because I have my own little way. You know what I mean? And I stay within that framework. And I've told people a long time ago, from the brother Hyphy, who used to be a part of the community, to even my current partner, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, I believe in staying in my lane, man. Because when I stay in my lane, I can work on things and, you know, strip away the inessentials and make it as strong and solid as it could possibly be coming from me. So a straight dedication to the entire community of the LDBC, because we have a bunch of brothers and sisters out here in the community who have their own way of going about dropping their material, and I respect everybody with what they're doing, and I like to tune in to everybody. You know, some people have a little more gift for gab, some people have a little more show, some people have a little more knowledge. It doesn't matter. It's just that we're all a community and an extension of one another. And as you see, I have come along and just fell right in line and doing my thing. We got Bruce Goals out there. He says, salute my brother at Stormy B Man and the Friday night chop sessions. Salute to you as well. And as you guys can see now, you know, Stormy got the 1,000 subs. The channel is now monetized, so people can give super chats. They could give PayPal donation. They could give the the Cash App donations, which those were in place even before the subs. But it's nice to know that it's a legitimate thing where you can just hit that, see your comments on the screen and everything, and we've worked hard for it to get to that point. And understand that typically what Stormy B Man is all about is about bringing it for more quality for what we're doing in our presentation and everything. So that's what it's all about. And again, you know, I ran off a list of names of brothers and sisters out there in the community on Tuesday, when I was addressing the fact of, you know, getting to this benchmark. But there are so many names that I didn't say, you know, just to name a few more of them. We had like guys like BFTB Boxing, Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. We had Blue Blood Sports TV, Supreme Beast, you know, Renee Box Young. There's just been so many people, you know, that's helped with what I'm doing, and I've helped them with what they're doing, and it's been a great rapport going back and forth. So, but as I said on Tuesday, you know, 78 Sports TV really deserves a great shout out, because he created the LDBC, and for a platform to be created for a group of people like ourselves to come out, commune, discuss the sport that we say we love, and share news, interviews, history, so many aspects of the sport that are significant, and we all do it in different manners and everything. It's great. You know, to be perfectly honest, Stormy don't even hardly watch TV anymore, because I spend a lot of time, if I'm not online with you brothers and sisters, tuning in to you all. I'm getting prepped for my own material and content, or setting up ideas and networking with people. So that means that it has become a useful channel in my personal life, as I'm sure it has with a number of others. But it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm tremendously gracious to be a part of this. We got some more people out there. Bruce Goes is out there. He says, salute my brother at Stormy B Man at the Friday night chop session. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that one already. I appreciate that, Bruce Goes. Mike 202 is out there. He says, salute Stormy B Man. Focus Ball is out there. What's good with you, Focus Ball? Another brother that from the time I started has been back there supporting, in and out, giving comments in the chat and everything, and seeing them around in the community on other channels and panels. Phil J508, he's saluting Fistiana, and Mike 202. Fistiana is out there saluting, and the Perfection is out there. He says, up in here. That's right. Fans Perspective says, salute, coach. Appreciate that. Alex Santos is out there. He says, salute, Stormy. Salute to you, Alex. Good to see you. Nitty G is saying 100. And Curtis Anderson, my brother from the Three Wise Men of Boxing, he's out there. He says, salute to all. And Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens will be joining me shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still doing the show with Reggie. He's just getting himself prepped up and will be in to rock with us very shortly. Let's see what I got here. There was something else I wanted to put up there. Boom, there we go. You know, Stormy got, you know, I want you guys to know I got the Black Lives, WBC Black Lives Matter belt. I've adopted as a trinket to put on the floor down here in my studio. So when you guys see that, that's not the regular WBC belt. That's the Black Lives Matter belt. That's my little homage to the movement. The positive side of the movement, you know, not that other foolishness. We got more people saluting each other. And yeah, that's what we got going on right now. So, but as I said before, with everyone in the community doing what they do, it's really nice to be able to go from channel to channel and listen in, hear what, you know, the content is all about. And it's just tremendous. Keeps me busy, man. Because y'all might think that even when I'm not on the air, it's like I'm always working on stuff behind the scenes, trying to get better, trying to think better, trying to do better, you know, just working. So hard work pays off sometimes. And I say sometimes because it's not all the time. Sometimes you can feel like you don't work yourself to your elbows and it ain't showing any progress. I know, I've been there. So, hey, you know, salute on that. Shadow 979 is out there. Willie Beecham is out there. My chat is different on. I got two different monitors here. We got D-Style Boxing out there. He says, my Crawford defeating Brook post-fight already up. Willie Beecham says, Kurt, you got me watching all the old Sweet Pea and Macho fights, man. He says, greatness. That's right, man. Willie Beecham, you have to go back and watch the older fights. You will find there's always gems there. There are things to pick up on that, to be able to study the sport. It'll actually assist you with what you're looking at today and also assess properly the quality of what you're watching today. Just give it a chance. We talk about it all the time. And if you come to the Tuesday Tussle and the Three Wise Men of Boxing shows, you'll see at the top of the live chat, the comment section, Stormy likes to pin fights for you to watch. I always put 2 matches up there. So on those 2 shows, Tuesday Tussle, Three Wise Men of Boxing, I pin a message up in the chat where recommendations on fights to watch for the future. And you can come back, share in the chat, talk about what you like, what you didn't like, whatever. But we're doing that to keep people in contact with the sport. Yes, it's easy to talk about a fight that took place last year. But if you talk about a fight that took place 35 years ago, which to me, that doesn't really seem like a long time. It's a lifetime for a lot of you. But you'll find out there were some tremendous matches that you may not be aware of because boxing had a heyday where it was so thick. Some fights that were great just got pushed by the side due to the popularity of certain fighters or whatever. But the sport is rich. That's another one of the reasons why during this pandemic, when boxing was on its hiatus, you had so many people sitting around talking about, man, can't wait till boxing resumes and this and that. Man, you should have spent that time studying up and brushing up on the history of the sport. Because I'm telling you, you would have not run out of things to talk about or things to review or whatever. Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens took the time out to start calling some of those old fights. He would just air them on his channel and call them, give a play-by-play like it was a current fight that's live. You know, and I thought that was a genius idea, because when you do that, you're bringing people in collectively to watch it and review it with you, but you're also experiencing the history of the sport, especially for fights that you may not have seen before. Man, that's like a library in the neighborhood, right? How many people walk past that damn library, or drive past it, or drive through the parking lot of it to cut through somewhere for a shortcut or whatever, but never take the time out to stop in that library and go read a book, open a book in there? You know they're there for a reason, huh? It ain't decorations, huh? And you go in there and you find that you can escape to another world with the wealth of information that is at your fingertips. But we're not conditioned to think that way anymore, huh? We want a TikTok and all of this. Hey, man, that's garbage. Open some books. Expand and expound upon your limited existence and find out what's really out there for you through study. You know, that's the way to go about it. We got Manhari Nation Sports Podcast out there. He's saluting myself in the chat. Coach Chris is out there. He says, cool. Caught alive, finally. Yes, sir, Coach Chris. I'm out here every Friday night for the Friday night chop session, man. That's what we do over here. Chat is moving kind of fast on me right now. ABN is out there. It says, bless up, family. Salute, Stormy B, man. Salute to you. Money Brown TV says, Curtis Anderson, salute, OG. Great interview with Vinny. Enjoyed the entire interview. Yes, indeed. That was an excellent interview yesterday on Blue Blood Sports TV with Curtis Anderson. And they interviewed Vinny Pazienza, man. The Tasmanian Devil, as he was known when he was fighting. Got a movie made about his life. The movie is called, I believe, Bleed for This. And that young man, Miles Teller, is playing him or whatever. Vinny said that there were some things they got wrong in there, but overall, the fact that they made a movie about his life, I mean, come on, you know, based on, you know, but that's great stuff there to have a movie made about you. That's really a benchmark for his life. Black Star Sports TV is out there. He says, salute, bro, Stormy B-Man. Salute to you, Black Star. That's another person out there. If you haven't subscribed to Black Star Sports TV, please do so. The brother's got an up-and-coming channel. Has some good content over there and has great boxing talk and sometimes great talk that's on the outskirts of the sport of boxing. Coach Chris is saying, I hope everyone's having a good night. Focus Ball says, I have way too much content to put out. Just dropped a gem yesterday called Fight Purse. Well, I'm sure, Focus Ball, for everybody out there listening, that's not about Floyd Mayweather and them little fanny bags and women's purses that he be carrying around just because he's a multimillionaire, you know, wearing them little man bags. Not a fan of that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we got Rashid Muhammad just subscribe to the channel. And every time you guys subscribe to the channel, you get an opportunity to see the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder, punishing the heavy bag. That's right. You get a chance to see that. The Bronze Bomber. All right. What else we got out here? Omega Red is out there. And we got people laughing. Let's see. This chat is really moving kind of fast now. Sheldon Holmes is out there. He says, what up, OG Stormy B-Man? Ready to watch this Omaha ass whooping Bud about to put on KB tomorrow night. And you know this, man. ABN1K says that Stormy B-Man and ABN says 1K as Stormy B-Man and many more on the way, family. Keep doing you. Yes, sir. To the best of my ability, will keep doing myself. Yeah. And I know that didn't sound too good, but you know what? I'm too old to be trying to worry about how you guys think with your nasty, dirty, filthy minds. Native Black Faculty Conversations. He says, excellent breakdown, and the information is so important. Great content. Appreciate that. Native Black Faculty. Derek Bailey is out there. He says, salute Stormy B, man. Salute to you. SB Stay Sharp has returned to us and says, salute Stormy B, man. I watched some of Reggie Owens' old fight broadcasts. I have Marlon Starlins in the gym watching this live. He respects what you guys are doing. Oh, snap. SB, you got Starling in the gym with you, man? Oh, man, salute to the brother, the magic man, Marlon Starling. That's one of my favorites, man. I love the way he beat up on Lloyd Hunnigan, man. But yeah, that's good stuff, man. Shout out to Marlon Starling and shout out to SB Stay Sharp, who has him over there in the gym with him. Former world welterweight champion Marlon Starling, man. Had some wonderful fights in his career. Fought Mark Breland. Man, great stuff, man. Great stuff there. Willie Beecham says, tomorrow night is definitely one for the history books, in my opinion. Yeah, we're going to get into it. I'm just, waiting for Reggie to come so we can start really cooking on the week's worth of content that we're going to talk about for this evening. We won't cover everything that has transpired through the week, but the bullet points of what you guys know of what's going on and what some other channels have been already alluding to. The fact that I do one show a week, show like this, where I just try to condense everything into my 2-hour time slot because I don't do a show every day, that's that's good for me. And it gives me a chance to catch up and prepare for what's coming for like what we have tomorrow night on the horizon. Let's see. SB Stay Sharp says, Brother Reggie is a great caller of fights. Love it. Yeah, did you, SB Stay Sharp, did you catch Reggie when he called the Tank Davis Leo Santa Cruz? That was one of Reggie's legendary calls right there. We made jokes about it and everything because of him and his call at the finale of the fight, man. It was just very organic, very on the spot, and it was a great call. Great call. Bruce Gold says, Stormy, when I wanted to see a film of a fight, I had to get a VHS. That was about it. Now it's something an old fight fan would have never believed. We have the history of boxing at our fingertips. And Bruce goes, as much as you say that, think about as many people who are not indulging at what's at their fingertips. That's a shame. And they got all this opinion about boxing, but they don't know nothing about boxing because they haven't studied it. Just because you watched a couple of fights on TV or on an app or something don't make you versed. But when you start delving deep into the history of the sport and you find out certain things that you didn't know that can fill the void of what you presently have as lack of knowledge, you find out that you have a stronger resolve and what that's that platform to stand on, and your opinions can now be based in solid merit. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the whole thing. If it's at your fingertips, why not use it? Huh? Derek Bailey is out there, says salute at Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. And we got some more people out here saluting each other. What we got there? Monty Brown is laughing. Willie Beecham says, I checked out Retro Boxing's Sweet Pea documentary. Very informative. Yeah, now check out his Salvador Sanchez that he just dropped last week. That's even more so. The more Blood does these documentaries, the better he's getting and the better his research and everything is showing to be. Shout out to Blood Boxing, Retro Boxing and documentaries. If you haven't subscribed to him, please go and check him out. He's another brother that I need to pay homage to, that he has had me work with him on some of his projects, and we also are going to be working on one coming up with the Hawk, Aaron Pryor. So be looking out for that one next. Okay. Let's see. Focus Ball is laughing. He says, no, sir. It's about the economics of combat sports. Yeah, talking about that purse. Yeah, you know me. I throw a little something slick in there talking about Floyd every once in a while. I get Reggie riled up talking about Floyd. SB Stay Sharp says, got to check out Focus Ball channel. His product is a great one, and is great. One of the fighters brought it to the gym. Yes, sir. See, Focus Ball, you're starting to be known out there in the gyms, man, with your equipment. That's some good stuff. Subscribe to Focus Ball also. Stay Sharp says, yep. Money Brown says, Reggie Owens, I can't get over how you convinced me to vote 100. Stay Sharp says, I'm in Connecticut, and says, the Magic Man. And Bruce Goes is saluting Marlon Starling. Derek Bailey is saluting Kurt. And Stay Sharp says, he appreciates the love. Yeah, that's right, man. That's right, man. The Magic Man. Hey, man, I would love to talk to him. Stay Sharp. And this is not a pitch. But what I was going to say is I would love to talk to him about the time that he spent with Eddie Futch. I have some of the highest respect for Eddie Futch as a trainer, man, and what he accomplished in the sport. Just last night on the Three Wise Men of Boxing, we did a 28-year anniversary of the fight between Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, the first fight when Bowe became undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And we were remarking that Bowe was Futch's masterpiece at heavyweight. I mean, Eddie had trained so many fighters, but for Bowe to be able to become a champion that late in Eddie's life, it's a tremendous story of accomplishment in that man's life as a professional in the sport of boxing, where he went from fighting into training and just having men who came up under his tutelage to go out and train themselves. I've often spoke about Freddie Roach not wanting to pay as much homage to Eddie as he should. But, hey, sometimes you can't make people do anything, you know. But, yeah, I would love to talk to him about his experience with Eddie Futch. Let's see what else we got here. Stay Sharp says, I'm going to have to go back and watch. Put it on in the gym tomorrow morning while the guys are warming up. Hey, they won't warm up too much because they're going to stop and start watching. You know, I'm telling you, man, our stuff that we do on the Three Wise Men is definitely pull up a seat time when you watch that, you know. And it's on the archives on the channel. So if you guys want to go back and look through what, you know, Stormy's body of work, man, it's all right there for you. You know, I ain't ashamed. I ain't ashamed. What else we got here? Okay, Stay Sharp. He says, Focus Ball, he's giving you his information. And Focus Ball said that video was a banger. And he says, I got to finish watching that documentary, Blood is a Beast. Yes, he is. Kenneth Johnson is out there. Almighty Law is out there. Says, salute Stormy B-Man. And Boxing Conversation says, salute my brother, Monty Brown TV. He says, bro, I'm happy as hell you voted. Okay. And, yeah, so Kenneth Johnson is salute to Mississippi, owns Eddie Futch. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Derek Bailey says, damn, Stormy, it's been 28 years since Bowe versus Holyfield first fight. Yes, it has, Derek Bailey. If you can recall that, hey, man, it don't seem like that long, right? But I'm going to tell you, you're getting old. Not you, me, you, everybody else. But I'll tell you, yeah, it's been that long, man. It's like, whew. What can you say, man? What can you say with, you know, And that's just one legendary fight from that year. There was a few other fights, you know. There was a few others. But it's great to be able to go back and recall them, you know. It was November 13th, 1992. Alex Santos says, wow, 28 years. Yes, sir. Isn't that something when you think about it? Big homie Coop has joined us. He says, salute Stormy B-Man and the chat. Salute to you, big homie Coop. And Derek says, it really don't seem that long ago. I know, right? It's amazing, man. When you think about it, it truly is. It's an amazing thing, man. Really, really. Yeah. But what can you say, man? What can you say? At the end of the day, it's kind of like one of those things where you look at it and you're like, man. But see, that's the fight that put Holyfield in the mind of people as a warrior. Because prior to that, people didn't like Holyfield because they were so hell-bent with Mike Tyson. But Mike was on his way away from the sport for a duration. And Holyfield was the undisputed champ after beating Mike's conqueror, Buster Douglas. And since Holyfield had taken on two older legends in the sport, George Foreman and sandwiched between Burt Cooper and Larry Holmes, people were saying Evander was just picking old guys. So he took on the young Bo, who was ranked like number 3 in a couple of the sanctioned bodies and number 4 at another. So he really went on and put it on the line against Bo, and Bo defeated him. Yep, have to take that little sip of iced tea. For y'all think Stormy drinking bad stuff, that's that Lipton iced tea, green tea. It's a little sweet, but I got water here too. So SB Stay Sharp says, Eddie Futch, my Uncle Seb and Marlon showed me the craft. Definitely gonna ask Marlon. He's still sharp as a Nubian sword. Listen, man, let me tell you something. Stormy B Man's email is on the channel in the description box. If you want to send an email and we can communicate, I'm here in Chicago, and I know Eddie Futch had a long history of working with guys, and his body of work is it's unbelievable. Would love to find out more about him that I didn't know. You know what I mean? That's real talk right there. Willie Beecham says, Stormy, what would a Holyfield versus Tua fight look like? Well, Willie Beecham, if you didn't know this, when Holyfield was preparing to fight Mike Tyson the first time, they brought David Tua in as a sparring partner for him. And David Tua, of course, exemplified the height and dimensions of Tyson, even the power, because his vaunted left hook, though his right hand may not have been as strong, Tua had hand speed, the ability to absorb a shot, and to cut the ring off and mimic Tyson tremendously. And had it not been for that work that he was able to get in the gym with David Tua, Holyfield might not have had as good a go with Tyson as he did. And I'll tell you this little tidbit also from that sparring that they did between Holy and Tua. Early in the training process, when they brought Tua in, and there is some slight video footage out there on YouTube with Holyfield sparring David Tua. It may have been removed or taken down. I know I saw it a couple of years ago. It may have been like about 4 years ago that I saw it on YouTube or something like that. So if it's still up, it's out there. But Holyfield says that that David Tua hit him with a left hook to the body that was so devastating, he threw up. It made him throw up. David Tua was a monster, man. And Holyfield's training sessions for Tyson with the various training sparring partners that he had, they did some different type of sparring. They would start the round and have those guys run out there and jump on Holyfield at the bell, because you know Tyson was a fast starter. And as they would jump on Holyfield, he had to fight them off of him, and it took him 2 weeks to get that down, because they said every time when they sent the guys out to jump on him, he could not get the timing down to fight these guys off of him. So they would restart the round. It was like they started, it'd probably go about 15, 20 seconds. Then they had stopped the round, restarted again. And it took Holyfield 2 weeks to get to a point where he was able to stop those sparring partners from jumping on him. Don Turner and Tommy Brooks, who were training Evander at the time, spoke about this. Everything that they did in their training was geared toward what they would face with Tyson in the fight. That's why he was probably more prepared for Tyson than any other opponent, with the exception of Buster Douglas, when he challenged Buster Douglas for the heavyweight championship of the world. So that's just a little tidbit there. Stay Sharp says, definitely will send you email and let you know. Appreciate that, Stay Sharp. And everybody else is saluting everybody else. So I did have some talking points here, and my man Reggie Owens has finally fell into the building. So, hey Reggie, what's good with you, man? Good to see you.
Yes, indeed, man. Glad to be on here. Finally about that traffic, man. What's happening?
Yeah, I hear you. Hey Reggie, so you know, great week for the Stormy B-Man channel this week. I want to give a special thank you to you for your contributions with me here, collabing with me on the Friday night chop session, as well as other things that we have done together. But we finally made the benchmark of 1,000 subs. Monetization came right through. I guess they assessed my channel and said, oh yeah, we want to make some money off of this guy. So it went through right away. So I was like monetized within like the next 12 to 15 hours of applying for it. So that's how quick it went through for me.
Yeah, man, that's great stuff, man. Gonna continue. And I got to clean my mouth up so I don't mess nothing up.
Yeah, you know, we can just pull back on that a little bit, and that's about it, really, because the thing is that even with what has been released, you know, here on this channel, at least, I haven't really done anything to put a lot of things in jeopardy or anything, but I think there's also a certain amount of respect that comes with, you know, because I've stayed, like I said before many times, in a certain lane, and it's proven fruitful for me. So my formula is working for me. I wouldn't suggest anybody else do what I do. You do what you have to do for yourself. But, you know, for Stormy B-Man, this has been a solid. Yeah, you there?
Yeah, you know, I'm still here. I didn't know if you were still going or.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to what I wanted to do, Reggie, is because we do have some things that have transpired this week, but some of the talking points that I wanted to get into are really, you know, like subject by subject kind of deals, and as we as we go forward, one of the things that I wanted to speak on was this fight that took place last week with Luis Ortiz, man, King Kong. You know, I know that they said that they were going to hold up this guy, you know, Purse, Flores, but what do you think about Luis Ortiz and his chances at getting a decent fight over the next year? Because this year is pretty much done. Over the next year, what are your thoughts about when it comes down? I feel like this man, along with Guillermo Rigondeaux, has been done so wrong, and all he needs is the opportunity to get out there against a worthwhile opponent, and he can show whether he still got it, whether he ever had it, or whatever. All he needs is the opportunity. What are your thoughts on Luis Ortiz?
Man, I still think highly of the old guy, man, and Cuban fighters, period. And I think with this grade of heavyweight, and salute to the documentary you guys did on the great era of heavyweight boxing with the Holyfield Riddick Bowe Classic. With this grade of heavyweights, I think Luis Ortiz is well above these guys in skill, talent, and in mind. And I think a lot of these guys fear them, as many people find these easy pursuits of avoiding, the tough road and the dangerous roads when a guy like Luis Ortiz is over there. And being Luis Ortiz doesn't have the greatest of representation when it comes to kind of pushing his career. And I'm not sure, because Al Heyman being an advisor or whatnot, not sure how much he can have as an influence on pushing Luis Ortiz forward. Not sure what kind of management Luis has, but without his representation, putting him in meetings with the Eddie Hearn level heavyweights, the Frank Warren heavyweights, it's going to be hard for him to find anything. And they end up stepping into guys who go in here and take a dive against the guy, because I think people really fear this dude, man, because even in that fight, man, even though he really didn't connect, he let those punches go, and he showed he still has it. And he's an intimidating force inside that ring for a lot of these, this class of heavyweights, man. And I think it may be hard, man. It'll be a shock for him to get that opportunity. It's going to be a real shock for him to get that opportunity going forward. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I want to see him in against another top heavyweight who's not named Deontay Wilder. Excuse me, that has the opportunity to test him and what he brings. The fact that people like Tyson Fury have avoided him, Anthony Joshua have avoided him. I mean, I don't know that someone like a Prince Charles Martin or even a Dominique Brazil would avoid him. They would probably just want to be paid and compensated, decently for the fight, because it's a risk fight. And when all fights are risk fights, but meaning that Ortiz is a class fighter. But I think that with the prejudices that have gone on in the sport that put restrictions on fighters that are as talented as he, and those provisions are lifted for other fighters like a Fury or a Povetkin or something like that, is just tremendously unfair, I think. And the boxing fans could do a lot toward, tightening that up if they would just get behind fighters and speak and ring the praises of quality fights being seen. That is, again, like you and I have talked about, just like holding these judges' feet to the fire. I want to do that as far as these fighters like that receive that disrespect and the neglect of not being able to earn their living in the sport simply because they're too good, for other people that they are throwing in our faces and telling us how great they are, So, it's just something that I think should happen. More support behind fighters like Guillermo Rigondeaux and Luis King Kong Ortiz. I think they need more support, and support coming from us. And we've shown as a community, once we allow our voices to be heard, we can move mountains. So it has come to fruition that we are effective, but we have to be effective and channeled in the proper direction with the proper byline to stand on. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. 1,000%.
Yeah, so I think that, that's what I'll be doing is like, hey, when they want to mention somebody else, even like a guy like Tyson Fury, he wants to have a fight before the year end, right? I'm like, okay, why don't you fight King Kong Ortiz? He barely got any work right here in this last fight. Ring his number, huh? It's like, hey, stop looking for guys that are, sitting in a bar in Australia somewhere in the mountains. You fight some real fighters, man. Stop messing around.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This dude going into the mountains looking for cats. You got Luis Ortiz sitting right here. The world is beginning to take notice of who he is, but it's almost like the rest of the world treats these Cuban fighters as if there's an embargo on them in sports. There's an embargo on their country, not these dudes over here. And it's almost like based on that, them having the lack of representation, nationally, they don't get it when they come over here. And I think that's a foul thing. I think we should embrace these guys a little bit more on the world stage professionally. I mean, they're recognized in the Olympics, but when it comes to the side of making money, everybody acts as if they need to be, like I say, embargoed and isolated from the rest of the world. And we're missing out on true talent being showcased. And that's what ultimately affects this class of heavyweights, man. You have to have the class of heavyweights that's willing to challenge anyone. And I see that with maybe Michael, and it'll be the crazy thing that the smallest heavyweight is going to be the first dude who's going to step up, take the challenge. That's going to be Michael Hunter, whose name is kind of in the fray, and I guarantee he'll probably be the first one that'll challenge him. It'll be a very risky challenge, but he probably the only one that has the courage to step in there with Luis Ortiz out of all the guys that are kind of within within little notoriety within the division.
Yeah, and the fact that you mentioned Hunter, I was thinking of him as you first began to speak, even before you mentioned his name. And you're right. It is always those kind of guys who will step up to the challenge, right? And that's cool and everything. But, man, I'm talking about lighting a fire on some of these other big old beasts in the division who too scared to, go outside without a guard dog or something, man. We gotta find a way to put the fire under those dudes as well. Big homie Coop out there in the chat, salute, says Luis Ortiz need a shot, but not from Wilder again. Absolutely, I agree. And Stay Sharp says, I agree, Reggie. Ortiz can beat any heavyweight in the world. They're scared of him. Yeah, it's like, these guys are afraid to take an ass whooping. Excuse my language, but it's like it comes down as simply as that. But in boxing, you got to bring it to get it. So you might as well, and I've said this so many times, a loss is not the end. What's the end is if you don't want to improve upon a loss. Huh? You can lose simply by trying to run away from a guy who you think you would lose to. You lose without even fighting because you're a coward. And a coward ain't about to win anything. Huh? So it's like you got to get your butt in there and test your mettle, man. It's a warrior sport. And you talk about getting paid. It's a shame that some men fight and don't get compensated properly for what they bring. And then you got other guys that are thinking that they are worth more than what they put out. We got to get this shaken up, man. And when we are here on the Friday night chop session, we can always throw them under the bus here because the bus got plenty of gas and good tread on the tires. So throw them under there so we can burn rubber on them. Willie Beecham says, as Stormy B-Man, is Ortiz just a fraction of the Ortiz that beat David Allen and Bryant Jennings? It's hard to gauge, Willie Beecham, because, yes, he has aged, but how is his ability? We don't know because he has to be matched in with guys who are at least on the level of what we've known him to be, which I think that Luis Ortiz has been a top 5 heavyweight over the past 7 years. Don't forget, even when Vladimir Klitschko was heavyweight champion, he was ranked in the top 10 back then, and I think in the top 5 or 6, and Vladimir didn't want to fight him. So it's like, and that was before he lost to Tyson Fury. So Luis Ortiz has been around for a minute. But the fact that they don't want to face the man, something should fall in his favor and make a fight happen. You know what I mean? It needs to. But thank God that Deontay Wilder gave him 2 paydays, which was a decent payday that he wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. You know what I mean? So that's what I have to say about that. Stay Sharp is saying, I agree, Stormy B, like they did Black Bill in the early 1900s. Absolutely, Stay Sharp. He says, preach, Stormy B, and he's laughing. So Sylvester says, AJ sent Ortiz a $7 million offer, and Ruiz Jr. accepted the offer instead. There was a lot of funny business going on back and forth between Matchroom, AJ, and Ortiz, man. So, you know, who did what and why and those kind of things, hey, man, I don't know. But all I'm saying is the man needs to have a chance to fight for a title. He's deserving of that. He's probably going to be the best heavyweight of this era that didn't get the title shot he was supposed to get. And the one he was supposed to get was against AJ or whoever had the belts that AJ had. Deontay Wilder voluntarily gave him. You see, he didn't have to, but he was AJ's #1 contender. And they ran some trickery on that and got him ousted from that so they didn't have to fight him. It's ridiculous what they've done to Ortiz, man. Let's see. Willie Beecham says Ortiz versus Chisora. Chisora gets murdered. Stay Sharp is saying his ability is still there. I saw versus Wilder. His reflexes are still intact. And Willie Beecham says Ortiz versus White. White gets murdered. Stay Sharp says Hearn did not send no $7 million. That's BS. I'm with Stay Sharp. And Sylvester says his management refused it without Ortiz knowing about the contract. And Alex Santos says, I doubt Chisora will fight Ortiz unless there's an eliminator. I doubt that Ruiz is going to fight unless they promise him something at the buffet or something. Because that guy, the way he's running around, a little bit of fame has gone to his head, man. He's not going to be the fighter we knew him to be before he beat Anthony Joshua. He'll just be a guy looking to collect the coins himself. Any last thoughts on that, Reggie? Anything about Ruiz, Ortiz, or any of what we were just cooking on with those guys?
Yeah, the thing with Ortiz is, man, he was born in the wrong era, man. Just born in the wrong era. I think he's just a little bit too much for this class of guys that are out here. Even Wilder's kind of born in the wrong era with this class of guys that are out here. You deal with too many prima donnas, too many people who avoid the tough challenges. Everybody's looking to kind of stay unblemished like a mug, like dishwash type hands is what these heavyweights are looking like. They want these easy routes going through their careers, and I think he's just born in the wrong era, and that's unfortunate. Even the wrong era of promoters, mainly, not just only the wrong era of fighters, but the wrong era of promoters that are out here.
There's something wrong. I don't know that it's the era, but they are making tons of errors right now. They're so busy trying to create more divisions and titles instead of making the guys fight for the ones that's already available. Man, anyway. But that's what I was going to say about that, opening the comments on that. Another one that wanted to move on into, Reggie, was the fact that the Garcia and Campbell fight was delayed because of I think Campbell tested positive for COVID. If I understand that correctly, they were originally talking about it was a late November fight at first, right? And now they've pushed it back to late December or something like that. Have you heard any news on this?
Yeah, I heard that Campbell ended up testing positive for COVID, and I think it's supposed to move into January sometime. They're looking at, but things are getting worse over there, man. They may end up scrapping that, or I don't know what they're gonna do. Is a lot of these fighters are gonna have to hurry up and get in the ring and really figure these things out. Is this, globally, this kind of pandemic is starting to have a huge spawn of itself. So they're gonna have to really get it together, or Ryan Garcia might as well, if they can't get it on, if they end up going to where, if this kid can't, where's the fight at? That's the other thing I'm wondering, if it's over in the UK or here, if that guy deals with passport issues, if they get the shutting borders down and other travel restrictions get put in place, he's gonna have to fight one of these guys here, and ultimately it's gonna be, hey, let the dude loke up, and him and Devin Haney got to get in that ring together. But that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and it ain't gotta be long. They can get it on. That's the thing. And see, you got all these guys like fish in a fishbowl trying to avoid each other, but you can only swim so far before you run up into bumping into each other again. So it might as well go ahead and fight. You know what I mean? Because these guys at the weight classes that they're fighting at right now are at artificial, what I call artificial weights to begin with, because that's not where they're going to make the hay of their career. They're just trying to steal titles and belts at these divisions, but it's not going to get tough for them until they move up. And even fighting each other is not going to be tough for them, because they're all still in a learning stage. I consider Tank a little further ahead of them, simply because he's an older guy and he has a different type of experience in the ring. He doesn't have a lot of rounds. He's got power and knockouts, but he can actually box. If he's forced to have to box against someone with greater size or reach or something like that, he may be able to still be successful. But the thing is that the younger guys, like the Lopez's and the Haney's and Garcias, they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to fight. We're not just going to award them as being so good or whatever without having really accomplished anything and beating second-rate champions and pretending champions. That's not going to convince me at all. And I'll say this. Yeah, he defeated Lomachenko, Lopez did. But I never bought into Lomachenko being as good as the establishment was reigning anyway. You understand? So it's like, to me, he just beat a guy who was 14-1 and lost his second fight. So what's the big deal? If he fights somebody good, meaning Lopez, he'll probably lose. We got I Am Ill Will out there in the chat. It's the birthday man. Everybody say salute and happy birthday. Wish I Am Ill Will a happy birthday. And also go subscribe to I Am Ill Will. He's got a great show on the Sunday mornings. Man, that brother be out there having me cook. He have me cracking up, him and Mr. Shelton. I tell you, they something else over there. So salute to I Am Ill Will and happy birthday to you, brother. The Perfection says the most dangerous punch in that division is Tank's uppercut. It may be. It may be. Tank throws a mean uppercut. He's a little short, compact guy, so he can get that leverage on it like that, Is that Mr. Shelton was hidden by I Am Ill Will. Hey, I Am Ill Will, is that not the real Mr. Shelton or something? Is that the fake one that I've been hearing about? These guys are something else, how they come out here with the foolishness, man. But yeah, Reggie, that's all I have on the Garcia and Campbell, because I know that the fight was put on a delay or whatever. But you're absolutely right. If there's problems with visa and everything, because places are being shut down, we're supposed to have another shutdown here in Chicago as of Monday. So it's not enough people, man, buying into the fact that this pandemic is real and they have to do certain things to exercise precaution. They're running around like, hey, you know, maybe it ain't so bad or whatever. And even on my job, I'm like, man, these people are making me crazy because they don't respect what's really going on. That means that there's more people that support Trump than you believe that have that mindset, that privileged mindset. Is like, oh, this is not, you. Man, listen, you should want to take care of your family and yourself more than anything. So why are you out here running around as if you don't need to protect yourself, if you don't need to wash your behind, wash your hands, you know, stay clean and wear a mask when you go out in public or whatever? If you don't want to do those things, you know, hey, but it's important because it's not just you, it's other people around you. You got to, you know, take care of yourself. How are things out there where you are, Reggie?
Oh man, it's almost a ghost town out here again. I went to pick up a ticket for that fight, for the Crawford fight, the betting ticket, and most of the casino was shut down. Like some casinos won't allow you to reserve rooms. Some of them are shut down through the middle of the week. All the restaurants are shut down. It's just certain parts of the floor. But as I walk through the casino floor, heading towards the sports book, there's no one at any of these tables. You got the people who work the tables, crap tables, blackjack, no one there for them. And a lot of these guys are dependent upon tips. So there's nothing coming from that. And some of the casinos are really trying to hold away from laying these folks off. But some have already started to the process of laying people off, especially up at the levels of management is where they started off at. And it's going to trickle its way down. I think MGM laid off something like 19,000 of its employees. The Strip, the casino industry is the lifeblood of Vegas, and many of the other businesses out here derive off of what is done by the casinos. I'm in an industry where we're not a derivative of the gambling industry and stuff, but it's huge because once the Strip is impacted, you feel the effects throughout this town. And many of the what is that thing called, the eviction memorandums or whatever it is, the eviction to stop landlords from kicking people out. Once those things become lifted, you're really going to see the true effects of it. But looking at the Strip and seeing no one in the casinos and hearing reports of them shutting down casinos through the middle of the week, it just shows how bad it is. And even when I drive by the McCarran Airport out here, there's so many parked planes that are parked and just stored out here. And you're really starting to see the effects. So next is the economic effects along with the health effects. It's looking bad, OG.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate, man. I hate to hear that, man, because it's like, you know, because something don't directly affect you, don't mean it ain't affecting someone else. And my heart just goes out to everybody that's suffering behind this situation, man. And you know, I have my own personal thoughts about why this is happening and everything, but it's a shame that what has transpired, what has been allowed to transpire. And I think there's a master plan behind all of this, but it's very unfortunate. And just God be with anybody that's suffering in the worst manners behind these circumstances. Jay Dixon is out there. He joined us. There was something else I wanted to read. Money Brown TV says the real Mr. Shelton is on Will's show. Okay, I hear you. Stay Sharp says Tank has boxing skills for sure. Saw him grow up as a youth fighter. Garcia definitely won't have an easy time with Campbell. I felt that as well. I don't know if Campbell will be able to take Garcia's left hook, but if he is able to just play defense for a few rounds and get, start doing some things back to Garcia, because I don't know that I think that Garcia, I could be wrong. I don't look at him a lot. Nothing strikes me about him, but it's like I think he may be a front runner, you know. And at the end of the day, we'll see what happens when he's challenged. And the day of being challenged is coming, because there's not a lot of room to maneuver around that division without fighting someone. We're into the second hour of the show, Reggie, and I wanted to take this moment to go into once again our little segment that I created for us here, and that's the Stormy B Man's Thunderous Top 10. And this week, out of the fights that have transpired, there hasn't been a big change. So the list is pretty much the same as last week. And I wanted to ask you, Reg, as we go through the list from number 10 through number 1, let me hear what you've got to say about the list for this week, because it's pretty much the same list as last week. But I'll give you a chance to voice your thoughts on the selections that we've arrived at here.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it right now. You got to post it up?
Yeah, it's on the screen. It's on the screen.
I was a little bit behind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mine's, man, with mine's, I can't have Gary Russell, man. I can't put Gary Russell in the top 10 for my list.
Okay, that's fine, but we just go through what's there on the list. And
all right, so I will move Better Biev up and probably move Gary down to number number 10.
Okay.
I'll move Gervonta up above Canelo. I'll move Canelo down. Probably replace him where Charlo is. I'll move Better Biev into the number 4 spot. Move Charlo to number 5. Canelo down to 6, and what's that dude? Josh Taylor down to 7. But other than that, that's how I'll put that list right there. But I think highly of Better Biev. But then again, you did bring up a point about him not being that active of a fighter. But even with the inactivity, his way of going through the division and the way that he's capturing these wins, and that's what really stands out to me, is the way in which he's going about just leaving a reign of terror through this division. Is the way I see it. And yeah, I definitely I have to bump him and Tank Davis a little bit higher on that list. But yeah, Tank impressed the heck out of me against that Leo Santa Cruz victory. Oh man, I hold him in high regards, but I definitely have to show Jamal Charlo, being that Canelo's avoiding him. So I'll have to drop Canelo just based on the facts of that. And even seeing what Canelo's trying to do now with his departure from Golden Boy, and still can't figure out who he's going to fight. Is he going to fight Caleb Plant, who's a more risky fighter, or is he going to take this Colin Smith thing? But all the while avoiding Jamal Charlo. But that's my thoughts on that.
Okay, now since you rearranged the numbers, let's talk about the men, because that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Artur Beterbiev or Beterbiev. What are your thoughts about him?
Man, I think highly of that cat, man. Especially, so for one, let me remove boxing for what he stood up for. Him as a person, he reminds me of the other dude. I think they from the same country, same religious belief as the dude out the UFC. Khabib. Damn, what is that? Well, I'm drawing a blank. But Khabib, the same guy's Khabib. Him and Khabib are like carbon copies of each other to me. His stand up for resisting taking that fight when they're trying to move it over to China having some ethnic cleansing type thing going on, a genocide of a religious sector, and being with his faith and belief. When that Chinese billionaire won the purse bid, he was like, man, I'm not fighting. You can have this belt, blah, blah. End up turning to where that billionaire turned down the fight. End up giving the purse bid back over to Bob Arum. moving the site and location of that fight. So I'm like, here's a dude who stands on principle. I respect the heck out of people who stand on principle and stand firm on their feet. Money ain't a factor that controls their decision making. Belts ain't a factor that controls their decision making. You can have these belts. I am who I am. Is basically what he said with that statement. But looking what he's going in here and did in this game of boxing, the way he's been beating down on folks in that ring, the dude's relentless. He's serious. He's a guy who's focused in on the sport. You don't have to worry about outside factors, being in trouble. These dudes are just 100% dedicated to the sport of boxing. But seeing what he went in there and did against that Teddy Atlas fighter, broke that dude down the way he did, a dude who's known for his volume and activity.
Yeah, Gavaskit.
Yeah, Vostik. I was like, man, this dude is a monster right here. This dude is truly a monster, and he's going to be a force to reckon with. And especially any fighter who's looking to defeat him, you got to come on your best level. Ain't no playing around with this dude because he's not going to play. He gives it all in camp, and he's just that dude inside the ring and outside the ring.
Yeah, I look at him and the way he fights. He reminds me of Rocky Marciano. Not that he gets in a crouch like The Rock or anything like that, but how he's able to be a two-fisted fighter who can wear guys down through attrition. It's like he's a tough and hard man. You see that straight away. But it's like when he hits people, he hurts them, man. It's like he's crushing ribs or something or breaking jaws. It's like when he beat up Gavaskit, who was a high-volume puncher, as you stated, that man wanted to quit Reggie. And we made light of it, you know, when it first happened and everything, and even since. But hindsight, looking back on it, Bitterbeef was beating the crap out of that man. And he wanted to stop. He was like, I've had enough. I can't deal with this. And I think that there will be more of that when he gets a chance to face other fighters. Like that guy, Bivol. Bivol is like, he's a strong young guy too, but he lets you hit him. You can't let Bitterbeef hit you like that. Otherwise, you're going to be up out of there. So, you know, but it's a fight I would like to see. These young men should be fighting each other, and that's the type of top-notch fight at that division that should be taking place. But, yeah. And, well, let's just go by what the order they are here, because I don't know which the next one or whatever. But what are your thoughts on Inoue?
I finally start coming to have to give that dude his respect, man. When I first started, you know, I was hearing about him, hearing the writers write all this. This dude just pops out of nowhere as the baddest guy, the monster. And I'm like, man, I ain't buying into this hype, man. Here they go fighting another guy who's not black, thrusting him up to the top of the heap. Here we go with this. You remember that Lynn Sanity when the Asian basketball player was around? I'm thinking, here these writers go doing this, and watching the way in which he comes to his rise, going through a tournament. You gotta respect anyone who gets it out of a tournament. I respect that. Him going through a tournament and was thrashing folks, putting folks to sleep in this tournament. Then going into where I was like, and this how much I really want to check the dude out, because he fought during on like a Wednesday or Thursday when he fought Donito. And in my time, it was like, and I think I had to go to work that day too. But, you know, I don't sleep. But I made sure I went to sleep early to wake up and to catch this fight and see this dude fight Donito Donaire, who's, you can tell from in the ring, Donito Donaire was bigger than this guy. And just watch the way he battled and fought Donito Donaire. Even I believe Donito Donaire fractured his eye or something. It never bothered this kid. This kid fought all the way through this fight, and he was giving Donito Donaire a beating. He was whooping on Donito Donaire, and I was like, this kid has a lot of heart. He showed a lot of heart. He bit down, and he just started to wear down on Donito. And I believe he dropped Donito in that fight as well. He hurt Donito a couple of times, so it shows the powers there. Being he fought in a Donito who was bigger than him, and then seeing him going to this last fight, the way he set up that punch, working off of nothing but pure boxing, not trying to buy into what he's being kind of pushed as some big time knockout artist and none of that stuff. He went out there, he boxed that guy. I think it was Maloney or someone he fought, but boxed him beautifully and set him up with one of the beautifulest right hands you ever seen. How he walked it in. That punch was just seamless, as if he walked with it and put this dude to sleep, man. I think highly of Inoue, and the fact that he got it through a tournament. Gotta respect that.
Yeah, I want to go to the chat for a quick second. We got IGM Tim out there. He says, fight Stormy B. That white boy is tough. Talking about Bitter Beef. SB Stay Sharp says, I see too many flaws in Noi. I'm not sold. I want to say this about that comment there, Stay Sharp. I think I see the same thing you see, but what makes me dial my thoughts about it back a little bit is this. See, Stay Sharp is in coaching like I am or was. And the thing is that a lot of the guys today don't have the old school teaching, and they don't have enough of the tool sets to offset someone who just has a punch, or that someone who might be able to box, or how to break down a boxer. So it's like there's so much missing on the technical aspect of things that some guys look better than they really are, and some guys aren't as bad as they are perceived to be, because the teaching is not there on both sides. So all it needs is tweaking one way or the other, and that could be the difference in a win or a loss. But with Naoya Inoue, in this last fight against Maloney, what I saw, like what Reggie alluded to, was the fact that early in the fight he tested the guy with a couple of shots. However, he did go back to boxing according to how he's been schooled to box. And he showed discipline with putting punches together. He worked off of a jab. He was not in a hurry to get the guy out of there. And that's the thing. The reason that the knockout shot landed so cleanly and crisp is because he lured the guy into a boxing match with him. And next thing you know, he dropped that power on him, and the guy was done at that very moment. After earlier in the fight thinking, oh, this ain't so bad. Oh, I can handle this. I'm in here. Next thing you know, bing, he's out like a light. Because that's the way a guy with a punch is supposed to fight. You're not supposed to go out there just looking to devastate the guy with what you got right away. Set that up. Let the highlight reel show the knockout, but it don't have to be the first or second round. Yes, you don't get paid for overtime. But if the knockout presents itself, that's when you shoot for it. But you probe for the knockout by setting it up. You just don't go out there looking to devastate a guy, but you look to go out there to work your plan. So your plan comes into work and you get him out of there. That's the difference that I noticed in Inoue's last fight with Maloney. He set that man up. If he had gone into the fight with Nonino Donaire the same way, just looking to box or whatever, and then had snuck that power in on Donaire, he might have knocked him out cleanly. So that's what I have to say about Inoue, Reggie. So let's go to the next name there, which is Gervonta. Since he kicked the door in with his sensational victory from a couple of weeks ago, what are your thoughts on Gervonta as we look ahead and possibly to what now will probably be 2021 for him?
I think highly of Tank. I think real highly of Tank. But he's also in the division where I think highly of the other guys he's set to match up against. But the thing with Tank, if Tank can maintain this level of focus, hard work, and dedication that he put into this Leo Santa Cruz camp, and maintain this outside, like during this rest period, no fights on the horizon period, I think Tank can go very far. But it's always the if with Tank. I'm hoping he can stay dedicated and focused and out the way of these outside the ring issues. And what he displayed, even being in there with Leo being a taller fighter, then Tank showed his ability to even be able to get in there and box, slip out the way, because when he started to turn up and he warmed up in that fight, because he also pointed to that in the fight, was the fact that he wasn't warm up. And that's one of the things people always speak about. Why aren't these fighters in the back in the locker room doing the shadow boxing, keeping themselves fluid and all this, where he spoke about he was a little cold coming into those first 2 rounds of that fight. The minute he warmed up, like around 3, you begin to see the pivots, him starting to use some footwork, and he had Leo Santa Cruz a little bit off balance even before he started touching him up. The one thing I noticed was the footwork, and I'm like, this dude hitting these sharp pivots, sharp steps on Leo, working the jab, getting on the inside on Leo before he started really touching him up. And on top of that, the kid can have an ability to box, the ability to take a punch if you hit him with it. If you ain't got no power, he's going to allow you to hit him with it, because he's going to set something up. And that's the other tricky part to it, where a guy may take 2 just to deliver 1, and that 1 is an eliminator. And I think high of Tank, man. And seeing the way he did Leo Santa Cruz with 1 punch, I mean, I gotta respect that. And he doesn't need it neither.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We want to take a moment to go to the chat real quick, because we got a couple names. Drew Titan is out there. What's good with you, Drew? Good to see you out there. Tone Brown has joined us. He says, that was a dope fight. I woke up at 4 a.m. to watch that fight. Must be talking about the Nonito Donaire and Monster fight. Let's see who else we got out here. The Perfection says Sugar Ray made that guy look like he's chewing Major League gum. And Eli Zachary Talks Everything says, salute at Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, and salute at Stormy B. SB Stay Sharp says, true, Stormy, so right. I concur now. Gonna watch the fight over. Okay, talking about Inoue. Yeah, because being able to set those punches up like that shows maturity in there. Stay Sharp also says, that is Calvin's fault. He should be yelling at Tank. Warm the F up, champ. And Eli Zachary Talks Everything says, Tank has real poise in his eyes, just being able to see during the fight and select the punch. Well, he knew what he was in there with. So, no doubt about that. So, Reggie, let's move on up. We'll skip over Gary, and we'll talk about Jamal Charlo being on this list. It is almost an insult to professional boxing out there with world titleists that this man isn't in the top 10, but he is in the Thunderous top 10. What are your thoughts on Jamal?
Man, I want to concur that it's an insult for him not to be on any top 10 list that is out there. I'm not a pound for pound top 10 dude, but I'm a top dog list type dude, and I think Jamal is definitely a guy who should be out there. And he's a dude who is probably one of the most avoided guys within the sport, period. Where you got a lot of top name guys avoiding him. I don't care if that's a Bubu Andrade. I got to throw Bubu Andrade name in there because that fight could have easily happened. Bubu Andrade ain't got nowhere to hide. He ain't got no one to fight. He's not a Canelo Alvarez. He doesn't have the ability to bounce around, pick and choose who he wants. He's avoiding Charlo, and he's avoiding Charlo for what he's seeing Charlo going out there doing. Charlo is well schooled. He's schooled by a high-rated trainer, and being that high-rated trainer and him has a great relationship, great understanding, and Charlo's a coachable kid. And on top of being a coachable kid with an experienced coach who's also a former fighter, and not just because he's a former fighter, because some athletes just are the worst teachers. It's the fact that he's a former fighter with the ability to be a great teacher is what I see with Ronnie Shields. And with that, Charlo will go a very long way. I think highly of where Charlo can go within the sport. And I think he's just going to have to create his own path, because the Canelo path, he might as well just write that off and continue on, build the sport around him. And he has the ability to build the sport around him. He has the following. He's from a state. His state is almost like the damn UK. They supportive as hell of their talent out there. So he can just move with that. and continue to do what he's doing within the sport. I mean, he's moving to being a pay-per-view worthy fighter, and he's going to do his thing and reign through this division. He doesn't need to move up, don't need to chase Canelo if he goes to 168, whatever he does. Take your position at 168 and reign through it. Capture all these titles. Those are my thoughts on Jamal.
Well, before we move on from him, let me ask you about his jab, Reggie. What do you think about his jab?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And Derenchenko learned everything about it. He couldn't get out couldn't move away from it.
Man, that guy has a pulverizing jab. I love to see fighters who throw the jab like he does, because it's a weapon within itself. You know, it's just like, man, you love it. His jab reminds me of like Pinklin Thomas's jab when he was good, you know, when he was at his best. If he could just add a couple more wrinkles, I think he could move up in this top 10 easily. So, you know, man, why is that Trap House out there? What's good, Trap House? Is that the real Trap House? Because I thought Trap House had a wrench on this channel. Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on up, Reggie. We got Josh Taylor. Let me know what your thoughts are about Josh Taylor.
Man, out of the cats out the UK, hey, I like Josh Taylor as an outside the US type fighter. Man, the kid got heart. He got heart. I was about to make the thing of him being a white fighter, but the kid has heart, and he showcases that in the ring. I can't take nothing away from him. He does his thing. He can fight in multiple styles. He can transition in the style that he fights. He can fight a rough and tumble style fight. He can fight a clean outside boxing type style. He can move it into fighting a in the pocket type fight. And it takes a lot to beat him at 140 for all the guys that are out there. I see him as the guy who can reign through that division. I think the only challenge he may face is if he goes back into a rematch against Regis. That's the only challenge I think that he faces, is taking on that rematch to Regis. But outside of that, this guy is a hard problem for a lot of these guys to solve in that division, because he has so many styles that he showcases inside that ring. He transitions a lot in the fight, and I think that's what ultimately makes him better than those who he challenges in that fight. A lot of dudes in 140 are just one-dimensional. You're just gonna get one thing from him, and this dude can change it up. So I think highly of Josh Taylor. He's the best thing fighting out of the UK.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what you said, Reggie, I think that this kid can really fight. I think he can fight, and I think that he offers up what we like to see in a fight from guys fighting at championship level. He's willing to sell out. He's willing, like that fight against Prograis was not an easy victory for him. Yes, he may have got the most favor because it was on his soil, but you could see how battered he was in that fight, and he never stopped fighting. He didn't give up. And one thing that Prograis didn't do in that fight was try to sell out for victory. And there's a reason why he didn't try to sell out. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes when you know, it's like tug of war. You can feel a guy's strength on the other end, and you know, like if I push forward, what if he got a little more? This is all I got. So if you want to stay in that comfort zone, it's kind of like, don't start none, it won't be none. That kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And at the championship level, you like fighters who will bring that to a match. And there are a lot of guys who are not willing to sell out. I don't think that Josh Taylor is one of them. I think he is a guy who will definitely try to sell out. And I think he's a guy that you would probably have to stop to beat. He's not going to be a guy that just gives you a decision. The only way that you could get a decision over him like that is if you are an immaculate boxer, like a guy like Bud Crawford was when he was at the weight. You know, then you could see. But I don't see Prograis and a few of those other fighters that are at that weight class fighting like that. You know, they're more of a stand in front of you, bob and weave type guy, you know, slip a shot and this and that. But there's not a lot of guys with that finesse aspect who still has a good beard. And don't forget this, Reggie, conditioning. Josh Taylor appears to be a very well-conditioned fighter at the weight class. There's a reason that I put him in this top 10. It wasn't just to throw a white guy a bone. I've watched a few of his fights, and he is the type of fighter that has broken guys down in fights. And he must have did something that made Prograis not want to sell out. I'm telling you. So that's something that has to be paid attention to. But that's what I have to say about him. We've talked about Canelo ad nauseum, so hey, nothing on that. Well, we got Errol Spence Jr. coming up in a couple of weeks. Reggie, what are your thoughts on Earl as he prepares to come back from his terrible car accident, and he's taking on Danny Garcia?
I got to see where Earl at, man. But before this accident, before the accident, I thought highly of Earl. Post accident, I got to see what Earl is about, man. See where he is. I'm not gonna ever overlook that, and I'm pretty sure that's how people was about Pazienza coming off of an accident as well. But I don't. If he is who he is. Hey, and if he comes back like how I hear y'all tell the history of Pazienza and comes back stronger because of dedication and focus, hey, Earl's going to be a terror at this division. He's going to be a huge terror at this division, and I think he goes very, very far. And he's also going to become a guy who is forever etched in, into the books of history, to where his story is a never forgotten history of what he's overcome, what he was even before an accident. He was a guy who was avoided by many of the champions. Many of the champions only wanted to take him on because of the opportunities. It's going to be things like that. And I think it's going to be sky's the limit for Earl Spence. I don't know if I can see anyone bringing a challenge to Earl Spence if he is to come back and still be himself, and especially be a guy who was heavily dedicated, because Earl wasn't always fully dedicated to the sport. He was almost like doing the Tank Davis type thing as well within the sport. The fluctuation in weight, not living the boxer lifestyle with the drinking and things like that. And even I seen him at a fight, and it seemed to where the dude didn't look like a 147. You can tell he blowing up in weight. And but now with this new lease on life, and focusing in on the sport, and the one thing of not just surviving the accident, but to, how they say with any person who has an addiction, the only way to begin a process of overcoming it is to have acceptance. And he accepted the fact that he was doing things that were becoming of a fighter. And now that he's set in his mind of what he wants to be and where he's going to take it, hey, gauging out of how he looks in Danny Garcia, I think highly of him. He may end up being number one on this list. But that's my thoughts on Earl.
Yeah, that's good. You made good points, and there's nothing that I can really add or take away from that. I want to go to the chat one more time real quick. So Trap House, I took care of that. I give you your wrench back. I don't know what happened, man. Let's see. Eli Zachary talks everything said. I like this top 10. Thank you, Eli Zachary. Appreciate that. Willie Beecham says Maul has the best jab at 160. Stay Sharp says Charlo jab is going to go down in history, and he throws hooks off it too. Tone Brown says Maul has, in my opinion, the best jab in boxing. Trap House is confirming that that's him. What else we got? Stay Sharp says exactly, Stormy B. Regis can miss me with all that tough talk after not selling out in the end. Yeah, see, I feel like that's where you sell out in the championship fight. We just reviewed that last night on the Three Wise Men when we talked about Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe. Holyfield realized that Bo was winning the fight, and he was trying to, go for it, and Bo was beating him up, taking him to pieces, and Holyfield showed a warrior's spirit and heart and fought to the end. Whatever kept him up was unbelievable. But he garnered the respect of the boxing public, the media, and fans alike when he fought to the end like that, even being battered from pillar to post in the 10th round and coming back in that 12th round. Man, it was just a classic display of championship mettle and what you come to expect for him. Those are the kind of things that these guys got to realize. When you get in a championship fight, that's when you do it. That's when you go for it. You have to lay it on the line if you want the championship. If not, get the hell out of the sport. Reggie, we got 2 more on the list, but since Bud Crawford is on the list and we're going to spend the last part of the show talking about the fight this weekend, how about giving me your take on Jermell Charlo, who I have at the number 1 spot in this list?
Hey, that's one of the dudes in boxing I ain't gonna never go against. Somebody got to show me what they can do, but outside of that, ain't nobody beating this dude. Even in fights where I predicted to where my predictions were looking right early in fights, but being with what this guy has, the cardio conditioning, the will to win, which many of the fighters didn't have. No matter how he looks in a fight, how far behind he is in the fight, the bell ain't rung, the fight ain't over. And that's the heart and mentality of Jermell. And that's something that's hard to defeat, man. That's almost like you beat up on, you being in a fight and you done whooped on somebody, but this is a person that constantly comes at you, give you everything. You probably done dropped this person 3 or 4 times and they get right back up and they come right back at you. Those tend to be the people who people don't want to fight. And Jermall is one of them dudes that does that minus ever being knocked down. Really minus ever being hurt. So a guy, you giving everything you got and he coming at you and still with the same kind of energy he had starting the damn fight off. So that can be something that's defeating. But along with that, he's hitting you very hard. He's hitting you with hard, solid punches. Then being able to hit people with jabs and knock them out, because along with him hitting that dude banana to the body with that jab, I also watched him do that to that dude Coda. Knock Coda out clean. God dang. Then watching him go in here against Harrison and behind by a lot in that fight and still pressing, never giving up. Still coming out with the heart, the will, and he wants it. And I don't think no one has a desire to take that away from him. He really has a spirit of a lion, man. Really like a lion out there in the jungle. And I can't take. I won't bet against him anymore. Somebody gotta prove it. But I would never even if I see a fighter that's a better boxer and more dynamic and skilled and all this other stuff. If you ain't got that other essential to you, you ain't beating this dude. And I think highly of the dude now.
Yeah, absolutely. I have him at number 1 right now because of what he's been able to accomplish at his division, because of the fighters that he's done it against in the division, and the fact that he lost a decision that was so close that it could have went for him. But instead of sulking and having a pity party or whatever, he was just simply chomping at the bit to get back in there with the guy that they gave a decision over him. And then he stops the guy to not leave it in the judge's hands again. It was his objective to go in there and stop that man, but he had to be careful because the guy was a quality fighter. Tony Harrison is a damn good boxer, and what he showed that night was the difference between what makes a champion and what makes a former champion. The reason that Tony Harrison was a former champion was he couldn't box from 1 to 12, remain focused, remain determined, remain in defense of his title. Whereas Jermell proved that he learned in the first fight that if you have another level to take it to, that's what you have to do if you want the title. as well as if you want to defend the title. So he went in there like that, and he really showed his wares. He was everything that you could ask of in a champion, and winning his title back from the man that they gave a decision over him. And then when he went in there against the other unified champion, for those who thought that Banana might give him a tough test because he was a strong guy, have a big punch. Well, Jamel showed you, being strong, being big, having a big punch, all of that doesn't mean anything. Even being able to box like Tony Harrison, it doesn't mean anything when I can knock you out with the left, I can knock you out with the right, I can knock you out with an uppercut, I can knock you out with an overhand, I can knock you out with a hook, I can knock you out with a jab to the body. This guy is a complete fighter. And he has a chin, as you alluded to. Hasn't been knocked off his feet. He has a chin. He comes in well conditioned. He carries his power from 1 to 12. And you have to be focused and dialed in on him from 1 to 12, bell to bell, because he'll catch you slipping, and then you will be sleeping. You know what I'm saying? So that's why Jermell Charlo is my number one. To hell with the rest of those pound for pound lists out there that don't want to put the Charlo brothers on there. Both of them belong on the list, but only one of them can be number one. And this one is. The loss on his record isn't the only thing that separates him from his brother. His ability and his accomplishments separate him from his brother. And his brother, the bigger brother, has something to look up to in the smaller brother. I tell you, I love them both. So that's what I have to say about that, Reggie. And we're going to go ahead and get on down to the last segment of the show, where we can talk about the big fight for tomorrow night. And I know that it's been, spoken about ad nauseum this week and everything. But the fight that's taking place tomorrow night between Terrence Bud Crawford and Kell Brook, Special K. What do you think about this fight and what we've seen of the guys leading up to this? A lot of the talk, a lot of the banter and everything. And tomorrow night they're going to get in there and do it.
Man, I can't wait for this fight because I want to see how it turns out and see what Crawford does. Because also with this fight, I got money on it because the betting odds is something else. And I don't know. I want to see because I don't know what would make odds come out like that. But I think this is going to be a pretty solid test for Terrence Crawford going in here, because Kell Brooks is also a guy who gave Earl Spence a tough match. He's really able to outgun. He was first to the punch against Earl Spence going into their fight. But the only thing that held him back was the issue with the eyes. I think ultimately that's what kind of destroyed him going into that fight. Even with Triple G, was a guy who gave Triple G hellified work. Sean Porter, he's able to class out Sean Porter, not letting Sean Porter to make it a close fight, which we're known for Sean Porter being in very, very close and tight fights. So I think Terrence is going to be in here against somebody who's going to be in here tough, somebody who looks like they put a lot of work going into this training camp. Was hearing he was staying in shape, so someone who's really in shape, hopefully he's sharp. But Terrence is going to come in here, but hopefully Terrence isn't bothered by other things, and this is the other thing that makes me wonder, and probably give Brooks a little bit of a chance, is the fact of why at this moment does these things come out with Terrence Crawford and the things of him being unhappy, his situation over at Top Rank. Why does it come out at this moment when he's going into probably his biggest step up in his career? And also, I was kind of peeping something that wasn't right when they had that Relentless documentary that came out. it was crap. And I was speaking about how crappy that was. It did nothing for his career. And then now this thing about how he's unhappy and possibly about to part ways with Top Rank. Then also hearing with Bob Arum also speaking of thinking that Kell Brooks can come in here and blow this guy out the water. And who knows? Bob Arum probably put a big time bet down for if he can put a bet down like that, put a bet down for Kell Brooks. But I think those are the only thing that kind of make me wonder, like, will there be some issues with these type of things going on with Terrence Crawford in the situation? And also hearing in that same documentary, I'm talking about, like, wondering, like, why the heck is he talking about retiring? And then thoughts of his career being at a Hall of Fame level. And if he can't get these guys, then so it shows that, I don't know, maybe something's bothering. Maybe Terrence Crawford's just not that happy or excited about the sport. That makes me wonder. But he's going in here against a guy, Kell Brooks, talking that kind of stuff. Can I believe if he's really motivated? Is he really looking to put his name back in the hunt of taking these other challenges? We're going to see tomorrow. And then once again, he's big for the division. Who knows where he's going to balloon up to? And how well can Terrence Crawford take that? But we're going to see how well those eyes hold up of Kell Brooks as well. But Kell Brooks is a pretty strong dude. Many people have talked about could Terrence be reaching that point? I don't think he's that old. I think that's still, 33, still about around prime years, right? You should have about, 2 more years left. But how well is his chin holding up? Because people bring up the fact about Kavaliauskas being able to catch him. Can Kell Brooks catch him as well? And is there a point to where maybe his body has gone through the changes to where the chin just isn't what it is anymore? So we'll see what happens in that one. But I got money for Kell Brooks just based on those 10-1 odds in that one. But I think I got Terrence Crawford winning it, but I think it's going to be a very, very tough fight. Very tough fight for him.
Well, let's just say first off the bat, let me say that the knockdown with Kavaliauskas, man, was a flash knockdown. It wasn't like he got put down on the seat of his pants like when Deontay Wilder put Tyson Fury down. It was not the same kind of thing. Matter of fact, he didn't even fully go to the canvas. He went a knee down to the canvas as he was reaching out trying to grab. The guy caught him a shot. He was reaching out, and then he went down to a knee. It wasn't like he got hit and he went down, But, again, people, they look for, chinks when someone is very successful or even proved to be the cream, so to speak. Even like when Floyd and Zab Judah fought. When Floyd got hit by Zab Judah, he put his glove on the canvas to stop his momentum from going to the floor. That wasn't what Bud did. But at the same time, people would think like he got really shook up and went down or something. What the hell happened to Kavaliauskas after that? He was on the dead man list. So it's like, but anyway, that happens in the sport of boxing. Some of the greatest fighters in the history of boxing have found their way on the canvas a time or two and got up and won the fights. That's why they were champions, because they came back and they were resilient. In the event of the information that has come out this week, I think that ESPN is doing a smear campaign on Bud with Bob Arum behind it, because you have to understand if something positive happens, they put it out there, right? If something negative happens, they put it out there. With Bud, they have never put nothing out there. Now all of a sudden this week, it's all kind of information coming out on him, and it's not necessarily good stuff. So including that documentary you talk about, that little relentless crap, that whole thing speaks of someone who's trying to show him maybe how to stay in his place, so to speak, if he is unhappy or disgruntled about anything. But at the same time, it shows you the snakes of the business, because just like Sergey Kovalev, when he was fighting, you heard nothing about the rape or the invasion of that woman. You heard nothing about him beating up her dog. You heard nothing about him assaulting a woman on an airplane. You heard none of that. They swept all of that stuff off to the side as if it never even happened. And he was allowed to go into fights, clear-headed, fight his matches, make his money, and return to his foxhole of a lifestyle that he lives out here, where he invades and forces himself upon people against the law. And he's doing it on American soil. And we had a president who said he was going to throw people out of the country who do stuff like that. But anyway, I digress. Bud Crawford is in a situation. It's now been revealed that his contract will run toward the end of next year, sometime October or something like that. If this is going to be a fight that is the last fight that he's contractually obligated, where he has to defend his WBO title, then they could be stacking the house of cards against him, hoping that he loses. Like I said in a joke post earlier today on someone else's channel, I said they better safeguard his water, watch the gloves. They better do all that stuff, because it appears that he is being put in a situation purposely. This is not how Lomachenko was promoted. This is not how Lopez will be promoted going forward, or Monster Inoue. None of those guys have had to deal with any negative press, any questionable press, any type of image damaging type of expose that would affect them psychologically and mentally for a fight. The one thing we don't know about Bud personally is his personality, on a personal level, if this is going to affect him. If that's going to affect him, that increases Kell Brook's chances in this fight. That's the X factor. We talk about it all the time. There are always intangibles and X factors that you just don't know how they will parlay into a sport. Bud doesn't present himself as a guy who's going to go and grab a microphone and speak his piece and things like that in front of the media and whatnot. He seems a little more guarded than that. Yes, he'll grant interviews to the old media people, but he's still not going to be that guy who sits down and gives you a heart-to-heart. So if he is internalizing a lot of this stuff and feeling a certain kind of way, it could affect his performance, because to our knowledge, we don't know of he having those type of problems prior to now. But if he really wants those fights that he speaks of, it could all begin tomorrow night with this guy. He has to channel and galvanize all of his forces into a place to focus on the job and take care of business. Once he does that, he sends the message to boxing, Bob, and everyone out there that's been a B to him in his life. He can go out there and send a message that will resonate through the sport. And don't forget the B that is Brook, okay? Because that's the one he's facing, and that's the one he can let loose on. Prior to some other problems that arose in his career, Mike Tyson was able to focus and take that violence and anger out on an opponent in the ring. When he went upside their head, he was just imagining it was the whole establishment that he was having trouble with, whether it was his former wife or whatever, and he was taking guys out of there in less than a round. You understand? So maybe Bud may be able to be this guy and show and send a message to the sport of boxing. What better way to cap off his year of all of this stuff that he's had to contend with, to go out there and defend his title and show them who's who. And I'll tell you something. Win the fight, throw the title away. Throw it away. Because the title don't make you. You make the title. That's my message to Bud on that. What else you got on this, Reggie?
Man, hopefully if Bud pulls this one off, he sends a clear message to the executive side of the sport, and he really sends a message over to Top Rank, because like you were saying, it makes no sense for Top Rank to do this right in the final moment, the final week of this going into this fight, and they're doing this dude like that. So it should be a huge awakening for him. It should be something, because people spoke on what was going on, where he thought it was just personal attacks. People seen this from 1,000 years away. I mean, people seen this from the dang moon. I mean, people was watching exactly what was going to pan out with this Top Rank thing. It's kind of the same old story, man. It's always good to know the history of janky promoters, and Bob Arum is that dude, and now Bud's seeing that, and now Bud comes out at this moment is speaking of how unsatisfied he is with his career and the path that his career has taken. So now it's time to take full control of your career. And this is going to be Bud's make or break with where he goes with his career. And his best bet is to shake the spot when it comes to Top Rank. Shake the spot with these shady folks. Even Canelo learned it with Oscar. Oscar De La Hoya had the same shady characteristics. Start time for these dudes to take heed. And now Bud has, who knows what kind of money he has lost, or what he could have been, what he could have gained for himself financially. But now he comes into this real hard final bout on his contract, and let's hope his mind is clear and his skills showcase themselves. Otherwise, if he's affected mentally by himself, we're not going to see the full the full abilities of Bud. And that's the psychological side of stuff. And to me, they're playing psychological games with Bud Crawford, but we're gonna see how mentally strong he is going in this fight. And these dudes just foul as heck. And I knew something was up when I watched that Relentless, and I was like, this mess is trash, man.
Absolutely, man. So, Reggie, go ahead and give us your final thoughts on tonight's show and everything. And if you be patient, just stand by for a moment when we sign off so I can run something by you. But tomorrow night, we've got the big fight. And just give us your final thoughts and let everybody know where they can come and check you out, because you're going to be calling the fight, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, indeed. And I was going to say, call me on the phone, because after this, I'm going to go run and grab my babies.
Okay.
But
okay.
But yeah, man, great show, man. Great show as always, man. And like you said, man, you come from the different angles. You come with your own originality. And it's always great product that you put out there, man. You and the OGs, always great product. And I always have fun coming on these shows. So I've been rocking for so long, man. The only thing I'll be trying, even days I'll be trying to get out of work early, so I can be like, if I ain't got nothing going on at work, I'll check out early just so I make sure I get on when the start time comes on. So I hate when the moments of getting off at the regular time and trying to make it back to the house to get on here. But I'm always in tune with what's going on. Always great work, high quality, high standard work, and man, continue to thrive and grow on this one. But tomorrow I'm gonna be doing the fights on Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens. As y'all know, that Boxing Conversation is a brand new channel. My last channel was taken off, not from YouTube tripping, but from me. I own up to that because I love my politics. I speak passionate about my politics, and sometimes they go against policy. So it ain't on YouTube. That's fully on me. But this is a new channel I got. So if you ain't subscribe to your boy. But yeah, we be doing the fights at, think what time that card start. That's the other thing I'm always having a hard time figure out. I think 4:00 my time, 7 Eastern time. Is that correct?
I'm not 100% on that, so don't hold me to it. That's the last thing I look for when I be checking out the fight. That's the last thing I look for is the start time. I just hadn't had a chance to get around to that. Go ahead. Yeah,
I'm thinking it's 4:00, whatever it is. I'm gonna cover, because the undercard got some pretty good fights on it, so I'm at least trying to cover the start of that undercard, because I think it's going to turn out to be pretty good undercard. And I want to see what Josh Greer does in this one, man. These fighters are catching up to Josh Greer. Hopefully he leave all that pillow stuff back at home and he focuses in on these fights, because he done got away with, he lost one of them. He got away with another one that was very close. So I want to see what he looks like. But I like the fact he active as heck too. So regardless of how he's looking, he's getting right back in the ring. So I like that aspect of him. But that's all I got on that one.
Yeah, and appreciate your contributions this evening, and I will hit you up after we sign off. Everybody that's out there in the chat right now, if you haven't had a chance to do this for me this evening, please go over to Boxing Conversations and sign up for his channel, because it's his last channel here, and his other one has been taken down. So if you like to hear Reggie's calls on the fights, if you like to hear the content that you're normally accustomed to and you were sub to him before, please sign up again, because the other channel is no more at this time, and we still want to show him that same type of support that we always have. So just take a moment out there and just hit the Reggie, you can put the link for your channel in the chat if you want, and make it real easy for everybody so they can just click on that link.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. So my final thoughts on tonight's show is another great chop session. We called it Man Up, Man Down. This was number 86. And the thing about that is that we always try to find talking points of the sport of boxing that is a little bit different from everyone else, because by the time I come on at the end of the day, you've heard so much as far as talking points on the same content and subject matter. So Stormy just tried to bring his own flavor and everything. And so with that being said, Reggie and I, we discuss things sometimes behind the scenes of how we want to present it, and bring it to you in a manner of which you can still be entertained, and also put your thoughts and feelings into the chat as we discuss and go over the comments. Reggie, I'm thinking that this whole thing with our Thunderous top 10 is gonna catch on. I heard some very positive comments in the chat about it, and see, that's the thing. It's like, when you can give reason for what you're saying and why you put people out there and put them on to something, and it's done in a manner of which you kind of know what you're talking about when it comes down to the sport or the individuals, it makes sense. There's no foolery in that. It's just real substance. So like I said, we keep doing that. After this weekend, maybe the list will change again, because we got this big fight tomorrow. So something could possibly transpire there that might move something around in that list. I hope not, but if it does, it does. But at the same time, we'll be tuning in tomorrow night to see. So with that being said, man, we're going to go ahead and get ready to head on up out of here. I know Reggie got to go and pick up his babies, and Stormy B-Man going to hit the sack because it's time to catch some shut-eye. I'm supposed to have an In the Eye of the Storm tomorrow afternoon about 2 p.m. We're going to have Deuce Shizzle from Supreme Beast Boxing Talk, and I might be doing it from a StreamYard, so it might be a little different production on that. So don't think that something is weird. Stormy B-Man can use the StreamYard as well, just to make it easy for the brother to participate in the show. So with that being said, from my man Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens, this is Stormy B-Man. We're going to sign off tonight and hope that you all tune in tomorrow night for those cards on ESPN, and the main event being Bud Crawford against Brook for the WBO welterweight championship. And we will catch you guys on the post-fight show after the fights tomorrow. So don't forget that. We will have a post-fight show with Stormy B-Man and Reggie Owens as we cover the sport again in the aftermath of what takes place. So we're going to say peace. Everybody have a good night. Great weekend. Stay safe.